The morning sun cast long shadows across Seoul's busy streets as Kavu adjusted the controls of his observation pod. 3 months had passed since the Galactic Collective placed him and his team in this invisible position above the human city. From their floating station, he could see everything while remaining completely hidden from the primitive species below. Kavu was proud of his assignment. Not every scout got chosen for first contact evaluation missions. His silver-blue skin gleamed under the pod's artificial lighting as he reviewed the daily reports. The humans fascinated him with their strange behaviors and inefficient methods. Yet somehow, they managed to build impressive cities and create complex societies. "Another busy day down there," said Rilon, his communications partner. A curved console, covered with blinking lights and strange symbols. Her large eyes never left the screens that showed human communication patterns. They seemed to talk constantly about the most ordinary things. Rilon had been monitoring human radio, waves, internet signals, and phone calls for weeks. She found their language patterns amusing, but could not understand why they spent so much time discussing weather, food, and personal relationships instead of important matters like technology or warfare. "Look at that one again," said Nexo, pointing toward a tall glass building directly below them. Nexo served as their behavioral analyst, and his job was to study how humans acted in their daily lives. The male in the blue jacket. He follows the exact same routine every morning. Kavu looked down through the pod's transparent floor. A young human man walked out of the subway station carrying a black bag and wearing comfortable shoes. The man had dark hair and moved with confident steps toward the office building. "Subject designation H47, Kovu said, reading from his notes. Human male, approximately 28 rotations old. Enters building at 0900 hours, exits at 1800 hours. Works with those glowing screens they use for processing information. His name is Jinwoo," Rilon added, having intercepted some of his communications. "He creates programs for those primitive computers, quite clever for such a limited species." Kavu nodded and made notes on his datapad. The humans called this one Jinwoo, and he had become one of their primary observation subjects. There was something different about him compared to other humans. He solved problems faster, noticed details others missed, and seemed more aware of his surroundings than most of his kind. Every morning, Jinwoo would stop at a small shop and buy a hot drink from another human they had designated H23. This one they called Hunwoo, a male who prepared various liquid refreshments for other humans. What puzzled the aliens was that Hunwoo always seemed to know exactly what Ginwoo wanted without being told. "Strange communication method," Nexo observed. They exchanged looks and gestures instead of clear verbal instructions. It's very inefficient. "Perhaps they have developed some form of basic telepathy," Kavu suggested, though he doubted it. Their scans showed no evidence of psychic abilities among humans. Or maybe they simply repeat the same patterns so often that prediction becomes easy. The observation pod hummed quietly as its advanced systems recorded everything. Technology was far beyond anything humans possessed. The pod itself was made from materials that bent light around them, making them completely invisible. Their energy shields prevented any electromagnetic detection. Their gravity dampeners eliminated any sound or vibration that might give away their position. Kavu felt confident that 3 months of observation had been completely undetected. The humans below went about their lives with no idea that advanced beings watched their every move from above. It was exactly how a proper reconnaissance mission should proceed. "Movement pattern analysis complete," Nexo announced. Human H47 shows 97.3% consistency in daily routines. Human H23 shows 94.7% consistency. Female H12 shows interesting variations. Female H12 was another subject of interest. Her name was Minji, and she worked in the same building. As Jinwoo, unlike the male, she changed her routes frequently and seemed to spend time in different locations around the city. Sometimes she would stand on the building's roof for long periods, looking up at the sky. "What do you think she searches?" "For up there," Rilon asked, watching Minji through their sensors. "Perhaps weather patterns," Kavu replied, "or those flying vehicles they use for transportation." Her behavior suggests scientific curiosity, which is encouraging. Intelligence will make eventual contact easier. The aliens had strict orders to evaluate humanity's readiness for contact with the Galactic Collective. They needed to determine if humans were advanced enough for peaceful interaction or if they remained too primitive and aggressive. So far, the results were mixed. Humans showed remarkable problem-solving abilities and social cooperation, but their technology remained basic. They still used fossil fuels for energy, had not developed faster-than-light travel, and their weapons were crude compared to galactic standards. Yet something about their behavior patterns intrigued Kavu. "Look at this," Nexo said, highlighting a section of his analysis. "Humans in this area show unusual cooperation levels. They share resources, help strangers, and coordinate activities without central authority. Most species require significant technological advancement before developing such social behaviors." "Interesting," Kavu agreed. "Perhaps this species develops social intelligence before technological intelligence. That would be rare but not unprecedented in galactic history." As the day progressed, they continued their observations. Jinwoo worked at his computer, creating programs and solving technical problems. Jinwoo served drinks to dozens of customers, somehow remembering everyone's preferences. Minji moved between different floors of her building, carrying instruments that seemed to measure atmospheric conditions. "There is something else," Roland said quietly. "I have been detecting unusual patterns in their local communications." "What kind of patterns?" Kavu asked. "References to visitors and friends from above. At first I thought they meant aircraft or weather phenomena, but the timing and frequency suggest something else." Kavu felt a small chill run through his alien physiology. "Show me the data." Roland transferred the information to his screen. Over the past few weeks, humans in their observation area had been using phrases like "sky friends," "polite guests," and "watching neighbors" in their conversations. The references were subtle and could be interpreted many ways, but their frequency was increasing. "It's probably coincidence," Nexo said, though he sounded less certain than usual. Humans often discuss imaginary concepts and fictional scenarios. Their entertainment media frequently features contact with alien species, perhaps, Kavu said, but doubt crept into his mind. "Continue monitoring. Note any changes in behavior patterns or communication references." As evening approached, the aliens prepared for their night observation shift. The humans below began leaving their workplaces and returning to their homes. Jinwoo exited his building at exactly 1800 hours, just as he had every day for 3 months, but today something was different. As Jinwoo walked toward the subway station, he paused and looked directly upward. For a moment, his eyes seemed to focus on their exact position. Then he smiled slightly and continued walking. "See that?" Roland whispered. "Coincidence," Kavu said, but his confidence wavered. Humans often look at the sky. Weather observation, aircraft tracking, simple curiosity. Yet as darkness fell over Seoul, Kavu could not shake the feeling that something had changed. The humans seemed to move with subtle purpose, as if following patterns the aliens had not yet recognized. Tomorrow, he decided, they would need to observe more carefully. None of them suspected that their 3 months of secret observation had been anything but secret. 2 weeks had passed since Jinwoo looked up at their position, and Kavu found himself watching the humans more carefully than before. What started as casual observation had become intense study. The more he watched, the more strange details he noticed about human behavior in this part of Seoul. "Daily report ready," Nexo announced from his analysis station. His forearms moved quickly across multiple screens as he compiled behavioral data. Human activity patterns show continued consistency. "With minor variations," Kavu asked, moving closer to review the data. "Subject H47 designation Jinwoo has altered his morning routine 3 times this week. Instead of walking directly to his building, he takes longer paths that provide different viewing angles of the sky." Kavu studied the tracking patterns. On the screen, Jinwoo's walking routes now formed a complex pattern around the area directly below their observation pod. What concerned Kavu more was that the routes seemed deliberately designed to observe their position from multiple angles. Perhaps he has developed interest in architecture or urban planning, Rilon suggested, though her voice carried doubt. Humans often change routines for personal development. Look at this data from subject H23, Nexo continued, pulling up new information. Hyunwoo has been placing tables and chairs in his outdoor seating area in unusual configurations. The arrangement creates clear sightlines upward, toward our position. Kavu examined the images captured by their surveillance systems. The coffee shop below had indeed changed its layout. Where before tables were scattered randomly for customer convenience, now they formed a precise pattern. Every seat provided an unobstructed view of the sky above, and subject H12, Kavu asked, though he already suspected what the answer would be. Minji has increased her rooftop visits by 340%, Nexo reported. She spends an average of 47 minutes daily on the building's highest accessible point, using instruments to measure atmospheric conditions. Her equipment appears more sophisticated than standard human technology for this region. Ryland's communication console began flashing with new intercepts. I am detecting increased chatter on local networks. The references to Sky Friends have doubled in frequency. New terms are appearing: polite neighbors, quiet observers, and patient guests. Show me, Gu ordered. The alien communications officer transferred the data to the main display. Conversations between humans in their observation area contained subtle references that made Kavu's skin turn a deeper shade of blue with worry. One message between Jinwoo and Minji simply said, "The morning weather has been particularly interesting. Lately good visibility from the east windows." Another conversation between Hyunwoo and a customer included the phrase, "I have been serving extra coffee each morning. Someone might be thirsty up there." These could still be innocent references, Roland said, but her tone suggested she no longer believed this explanation. Humans often speak in metaphors and hidden meanings. Kavu activated the pod's enhanced scanning systems. The humans had somehow detected their presence. Their technology should reveal how. The scanner swept the area below, checking for any equipment capable of penetrating their advanced cloaking systems. Scanning complete, the pod's computer announced. No detected technology capable of compromising stealth systems. Human equipment remains within expected technological parameters. This puzzled Kavu even more. If the humans could not detect them technologically, how were they becoming aware of the alien presence? Their cloaking technology was perfect, tested against the most advanced sensor arrays in the galaxy. Perhaps we should observe other areas of the city, Nexo suggested. Compare behavior patterns between this location and regions without our presence. Good idea, Kavu agreed. Extend sensors to monitor 3 blocks in each direction. As their surveillance expanded, the differences became obvious immediately. Humans in other parts of Seoul behaved normally, following predictable patterns with no unusual skywatching behaviors. No subtle references to visitors appeared in their communications. No deliberate arrangement of furniture to provide upward viewing angles. Only in the area directly below their observation pod did humans display these strange behaviors. Commander Ryland said quietly, "I am detecting something else." Humans in our observation zone have been leaving objects on rooftops and balconies. What kind of objects? Food items, beverages, and small gifts. Yesterday, someone left a cup of that hot drink they consume, still warm, on the roof of Jinwoo's building. This morning, Hyunwoo placed a plate of baked goods on his shop's upper balcony. Kavu felt his confidence cracking like ice under pressure. Coincidence? Humans often forget items or leave them for other humans to find. The items remain untouched for exactly 24 hours, then disappear, Nexo added. Security footage shows the same humans who placed them returning to collect them. But during those 24 hours, the objects are positioned with clear visibility from our location. It's as if they are making offerings, Roland whispered. The word offerings sent a chill through Kavu's entire body. In galactic history, primitive species sometimes left offerings for beings they could not see, but suspected were present. It suggested awareness combined with peaceful intentions. Impossible, Kavu said, more to convince himself than his team. Our stealth technology. is perfect. No species has ever detected our observation pods during reconnaissance missions. But even as he spoke, more evidence accumulated. A street artist named So Young had begun creating murals on the sides of buildings. Her artwork incorporated geometric patterns that exactly matched the energy signatures their pod emitted, though those signatures should have been completely undetectable to human instruments. "Look at this," Nexo said, displaying images of So Young's latest creation she painted. "This yesterday evening, the mathematical relationships in these patterns correspond to our gravitational displacement readings." The mural showed flowing lines and curves that seemed random to casual observation. But when Kavu compared them to their technical data, the correlation was unmistakable. Somehow, this human artist was detecting and reproducing their ship's environmental effects. "Run a diagnostic on all stealth systems," Kavu ordered. "Diagnostics complete," the computer reported. "All stealth systems operating at maximum efficiency. No electromagnetic leakage detected. No gravitational anomalies beyond acceptable parameters. No visible light spectrum compromise detected." "Then how?" Kavu asked, but his team had no answers. That afternoon brought even more disturbing observations. During lunchtime, groups of humans gathered in the plaza below their position. Instead of eating and talking as usual, they seemed to be listening. Their heads tilted upward, their conversations quieter than normal. "They are trying to hear us," Roland realized. "Dampening is perfect," Kavu protested. "Maybe they are not listening for mechanical sounds," Nexo suggested. "Perhaps they have developed sensitivity to other indicators. Air movement patterns, electromagnetic fields, gravitational effects too subtle for our instruments to register." As significant as evening approached, Kavu watched Jinwoo exit his building and walk toward the subway station. But instead of his usual direct route, Jinwoo stopped in the plaza below their pod. He sat on a bench, opened a book, and began reading. "He is positioning himself directly below us," Roland observed. "Coincidence," Kavu said, though the word felt hollow. Jinwoo read for exactly 30 minutes, then closed his book and looked up. This time, there was no mistaking the direction of his gaze. He stared directly at their position for several seconds, smiled slightly, and walked away. Commander Nexo said quietly, "I recommend we prepare for the possibility that our observation mission has been compromised." Kavu stared down at the humans below, watching them go about their evening routines. But now every action seemed deliberate. Every glance upward, intentional. 3 months of perfect surveillance were crumbling around him. "Continue observations," he ordered, "but begin preparations for emergency departure. If these humans have truly detected us, we need to understand how before reporting to the collective." None of them realized that tomorrow would bring the answer to all their questions, delivered in the most unexpected way possible. The morning air felt different to Kavu as he prepared for another day of observation. His sleep cycle had been disturbed by dreams of discovery and failure. No reconnaissance mission in galactic collective history had ever been detected by a primitive species, and the possibility that his team might be the first filled him with dread. "All systems operational," Roland reported from her station. "Human activity levels normal for this time period?" Kavu nodded but kept his attention focused on the plaza below. For 3 days now, Jinwoo had been sitting on the same bench during his lunch break, always positioning himself directly under their observation pod. Each day, he would read his book for exactly 30 minutes, then look up with that knowing expression before walking away. "Today we get answers," Kavu decided. "I am going down for closer examination, Commander. That violates standard reconnaissance protocols," Nexo warned. "Personal contact increases risk of detection exponentially." "We are already detected," Kavu replied grimly. "The question is how much they know and what they plan to do about it." Kovu activated his personal stealth suit, a smaller version of the technology that kept their pod invisible. The suit would allow him to move among the humans undetected while maintaining full sensor capability. He had used similar equipment hundreds of times on dozens of worlds without incident. "Maintain communication link," he told his team. "If anything goes wrong, initiate emergency departure protocols immediately." The transport beam lowered Kavu silently to street level, materializing him behind a cluster of trees in the plaza. His stealth field hummed quietly around him, bending light and sound to render him completely invisible to human senses. Jinwoo sat on his usual bench, reading the same book he had carried for the past week. Up close, Kavu could see that the human appeared relaxed and comfortable, showing none of the tension that might be expected from someone aware of alien surveillance. Kavu moved closer, his scanner devices automatically analyzing everything about the human subject. Jinwoo wore simple clothing typical of his species, dark pants, a light shirt, and those comfortable walking shoes that humans seem to prefer. Nothing about his appearance suggested advanced technology or hidden weapons. The shoes particularly caught Kovu's attention. They were white with blue accents, made from materials that seemed both durable and flexible. Human footwear fascinated him because it revealed so much about their priorities: comfort over appearance, function over decoration. These particular shoes looked new and well-designed. Fascinating specimens, Kavu muttered to himself, activating his close-range scanners to analyze the shoe construction in detail as he moved to get a better angle for his scan. Positioning himself directly beside the bench where Jinwoo sat, something unexpected happened. Without looking up from his book, without any change in posture or expression, Jinwoo spoke. "Great sneakers." The words hit Kavu like a bolt of plasma energy. Stealth field flickered and sparked as shock coursed through his alien nervous system. The scanner in his hand trembled as he tried to process what had just occurred. "The white ones you are wearing?" Jinwoo continued calmly, still not looking up from his book. "Very stylish. Though I imagine they are more advanced than they appear." Kavu's breathing apparatus struggled to function properly. His stealth suit made warning sounds as his elevated stress levels interfered with the cloaking systems. Through his communication link, he could hear Relin and Nexo shouting questions and warnings. But their voices seemed to come from very far away. "How?" Kavu whispered, his voice barely functioning. "How did we know you were there?" Jinwoo asked, finally closing his book and looking directly at Kovu's position. Even though the stealth field was still partially active, Jinwoo's eyes tracked his exact location. "Or how long have we known?" Kavu found himself unable to respond. 3 months of careful planning, advanced technology, and perfect execution had crumbled in an instant. Everything he understood about reconnaissance and primitive species had proven wrong. "My name is Jinwoo," the human said pleasantly, as if introducing himself to a neighbor. "You've been watching me for quite some time, so I thought we should finally meet properly." "Is impossible," Kovu managed to say. "Our technology is perfect. No primitive species has ever detected galactic collective stealth systems." Jinwoo smiled gently. "Perhaps the problem is thinking of us as primitive. Different does not always mean less advanced." Through his communication link, Kavu could hear his team in full panic mode. "Commander, your stealth field is failing," Rilan reported. "Emergency extraction ready on your command." "Wait," Kavu said, both to his team and to Jinwoo. "How long have you known we were here?" "About a week after you arrived," Jinwoo replied honestly. Minji noticed the atmospheric disturbances first. She works in environmental monitoring and spotted the unusual patterns in air pressure and electromagnetic readings. Nothing dramatic, just tiny changes that did not match natural phenomena. Kavu's legs felt weak. A week after arrival meant they had been detected almost immediately, despite months of believing themselves perfectly hidden. Jinwoo saw the visual distortions next. Jinwoo continued. "He spends a lot of time looking at the sky while serving coffee. Artists have good eyes for things that do not belong. The air shimmers slightly when your ship moves, like heat waves, but in the wrong weather. And the others?" Kavu asked, though he was beginning to understand. Soyang noticed the energy patterns. She is sensitive to electromagnetic fields because of her artwork. The way electricity flows around your ship creates subtle interference patterns. She started painting them without really understanding what they were. Each revelation struck Kavu like a physical blow. Their advanced technology, designed to fool the most sophisticated detection systems in the galaxy, had been noticed by humans using nothing more than careful observation and natural sensitivity. "Why did you not report us to your authorities?" Kavu asked. Why did you not attempt to capture or communicate with us immediately? Jinwoo looked genuinely surprised by the question. Why would we do that? You are not causing any harm. You seem to be conducting some kind of research. We thought it would be rude to interrupt. Rude. Kavu repeated the word as if it came from an alien language. You were being very polite, Jinwoo explained. Staying hidden, not interfering with our daily lives, not taking anything or damaging property. We figured if you wanted to talk to us, you would talk to us. If you were dangerous, well, that would be different. The simplicity of the explanation stunned Kavu more than any advanced technology could have. Ace humans had detected alien surveillance and chosen courtesy over fear, patience over panic. So we waited, Jinwoo said. And we tried to be good hosts, leaving small gifts, making sure you had clear views for your observations, keeping the area peaceful and orderly. We wanted you to feel welcome while you did your work. The offerings on the rooftops, Kavu realized. Coffee stays warm longer than you might think, Jinwoo said with a gentle laugh. And those pastries from Hyunwoo's shop are really excellent. We hoped you might try them. Kavu's stealth field finally failed completely, leaving him visible in broad daylight. Instead of screaming or running, Jinwoo simply nodded as if seeing exactly what he had expected. You look exactly like we imagined, Jinwoo said approvingly. Though your shoes really are quite impressive. Through his communication link, Kavu could hear his team preparing for the worst. But as he looked at Jinwoo's calm, friendly expression, he began to understand that everything they thought they knew about first contact was about to change. Kavu stood in the plaza, completely visible for the first time in months, his blue-silver skin gleaming in the afternoon sunlight. His alien features and advanced equipment should have caused panic among the humans nearby. Instead, people walked past with casual glances and friendly nods, as if seeing extraterrestrials was a normal part of their Tuesday afternoon. They are not afraid, Kavu observed, his voice filled with wonder and confusion. Why would we be afraid? Jinwoo asked, standing up from the bench and stretching. You have been very polite neighbors, much quieter than the construction crew that was here last month. Through his communication link, Kavu could hear Roland and Nexo frantically trying to understand the situation. Commander, are you safe? Roland asked. Should we initiate rescue protocols? Stand by, Kavu replied quietly. I need to understand what is happening here. Wu gestured toward the coffee shop across the plaza. Would you like to meet some of the others? They have been very curious about you. Hyunwoo has been practicing making drinks suitable for different species just in case. Others? Kavu asked. The people who live and work in this area. We have been discussing your presence for weeks. Not in a worried way, Jinwoo added quickly, seeing Kavu's expression. More like neighbors getting to know each other. As they walked toward the coffee shop, Kavu noticed details he had missed during months of distant observation. Humans on. The street made subtle hand signals to each other. A woman arranging flowers outside a shop positioned them to create clear sight lines upward. A man reading a newspaper held it at an angle that allowed him to watch both the street and the sky. You have been coordinating, Kavu realized. This entire area has been working together. Of course, Jinwoo replied as if it were obvious. Something unusual happens in a neighborhood. People talk about it. We had to decide how to respond. And you chose to be welcoming rather than defensive. Why would we be defensive against someone who is not threatening us? Jinwoo asked. You were clearly conducting some kind of scientific study. Scientists should be encouraged, not feared. They entered Hyunwoo's coffee shop, where the smell of roasted beans and fresh pastries filled the air. Hyunwoo looked up from behind the counter and smiled broadly when he saw Kavu. Finally decided to come down and visit. Hyunwoo said cheerfully. I was beginning to think you did not like coffee. You knew I was listening to your conversations, Kavu said, still struggling to accept the situation. We hoped you were learning about us, Hyunwoo replied, beginning to prepare drinks without being asked. Understanding people takes time. Thought you deserved a chance to observe before making judgments? Minji entered the shop from a side door, carrying a tablet covered with charts and measurements. She nodded to Kavu, as if they were old friends meeting for lunch. The atmospheric readings have been fascinating, she told him directly. Your ship uses a gravitational displacement system that creates the most elegant energy patterns. I have been documenting them for 3 months. You could detect our technology? Kavu asked. Not detect exactly, Mingy explained, sitting down at a table positioned for optimal sky viewing. But energy has to go somewhere. Your ship moves air in very specific ways. Once I knew what to look for, the patterns became obvious. You did not report these patterns to your government or military? Minji looked genuinely confused by the question. Why would I do that? You were not harming anyone? Scientific research should be protected, not interrupted by bureaucrats. Hyunwoo placed a steaming cup in front of Kavu. The liquid inside was dark, but had a pleasant aroma that seemed compatible with his alien physiology. I experimented with different ingredients, Hyunwoo explained. Based on the atmospheric analysis from your ship, I estimated what elements you might prefer. This blend should be safe for your digestive system. Kavu stared at the cup in amazement. You created a beverage for my species without ever having met one of us. Good cooking requires understanding your customers, Hyunwoo replied with a shrug. I studied the chemical traces your ship left in the air and made educated guesses. The shop door opened again, and Soyang entered, carrying art supplies and a small canvas. Her paint-stained clothes and creative energy reminded Kavu of artists he had observed on other worlds. But her work incorporated patterns no human should have been able to perceive. The afternoon light is perfect for painting energy fields, she announced, then noticed Kavu. Oh good, you decided to introduce yourself. I have been wanting to ask about the color frequencies your ship emits. You can see our energy emissions? Kavu asked weakly. Not see exactly, Soyang said, setting up her easel near the window. But they create interference patterns in electrical fields. Streetlights flicker in specific rhythms. Electronic displays show tiny distortions. After a while, you learn to read the patterns like a visual language, and you painted these patterns. They are beautiful, Soyang said simply. Energy has its own aesthetic. I wanted to capture what your presence adds to our environment. Kavu took a careful sip of the drink Hyunwoo had prepared. To his surprise, it was not only safe but delicious, with flavors that complemented his alien taste preferences perfectly. This is excellent, he admitted. I am glad you like it, Hyunwoo said proudly. I left samples on the roof hoping you might try them, but they were always untouched. We have strict protocols about consuming unknown substances, Kavu explained. Of course you do, Jinwoo agreed. It makes perfect sense for space travelers, and we should have thought of that. Through his communication link, Kavu heard Rilin reporting. To the pod, multiple humans are approaching the commander's position, but they appear friendly. No weapons detected. They seem to be ... socializing, Commander Nexo added. The humans have arranged this meeting deliberately. Street cameras show them coordinating movements to ensure privacy for this conversation. Kavu looked around the coffee shop and realized Nexo was correct. The space had been quietly cleared of other customers. People walking past the windows moved in patterns that blocked outside observation. Without any obvious effort, the humans had created a secure meeting environment. You have been protecting this conversation, he observed. Privacy is important for first meetings, Mingi said. We did not want you to feel overwhelmed or pressured by too much attention. But how did you coordinate all of this without us detecting? Your communications? Simple planning and good neighbors? Jinwoo explained. When people trust each other and work toward common goals, complex coordination becomes easy. We did not need secret codes or hidden messages. We just needed to agree on basic principles. What principles? Kavu asked. Be welcoming to visitors. Respect scientific research. Protect privacy when needed. Share resources freely. Trust that good intentions will be met with good intentions. Kavu felt something shift in his understanding of human civilization. These were not primitive beings driven by fear and aggression. They were a sophisticated species that had developed social technologies his people had never encountered. Your species has mastered cooperation, he said slowly. Not mastered. Hyunwoo corrected gently. We are still learning. But we try to treat others the way we would want to be treated if we were strangers in their world. Outside the coffee shop window, Kavu could see other humans going about their daily activities. Now he understood that each person was part of a larger community decision to welcome alien visitors with patience and kindness. "We have been studying you for 3 months," Kavu said. "But you have been studying us as well," of course Soyang replied, adding brushstrokes to her canvas. "Understanding goes both ways. We wanted to learn about you just as much as you wanted to learn about us. And what have you learned? That you are curious, careful, and respectful," Jinwoo answered. "That you take time to understand before making decisions. That you care about not causing harm to others. These are good qualities in any species." Avu realized that his reconnaissance mission had become something entirely different. Instead of observing primitive subjects, he had stumbled into humanity's first lesson in interspecies diplomacy. The afternoon sun streamed through the coffee shop windows as Kavu finished his second cup of Hyan Wu's specially prepared drink. What had begun as a reconnaissance disaster was transforming into the most unexpected experience of his career. Through his communication link, he could hear Rylan and Nexo still processing the impossible situation. Commander Rylan's voice crackled through his earpiece. "We are receiving requests from other humans in the area. They want to know if they can meet us as well." "Other humans?" Kavu asked aloud. "Word spreads quickly in close communities," Jinwoo explained with a smile. "People are curious about their new neighbors, but are they prepared for contact with alien species?" Kavu worried. "First contact protocols exist for good reasons. Cultural shock, fear responses, social disruption." Minji looked up from her tablet, where she had been showing Kavu detailed atmospheric readings. "We have been preparing for this possibility for decades. Not officially, but as thinking people who understand that the universe is very large." "Preparing how?" "Philosophy, ethics, science fiction, cultural studies," Jinwoo listed. "Humans spend a lot of time thinking about how we would want to behave if we met other intelligent species. Most of us decided we would want to be good hosts." Soyang added colors to her canvas as she spoke. "Every culture on Earth has stories about visitors from far places. The best stories teach us to welcome strangers with open hearts. Your entertainment media includes scenarios about alien contact," Kavu acknowledged. "But entertainment is not the same as reality." "It's true," Hunwoo agreed, refilling Kovu's cup. "But stories help people practice emotional responses. When something new happens, we already have frameworks for understanding it." Through the window, Kavu could see a small group of humans gathering in the plaza. They carried chairs, food, and what appeared to be musical instruments. Their movements were organized but relaxed, like people preparing for a neighborhood celebration. "They are planning something," Kavu observed. "A welcome gathering," Jinwoo confirmed. "Nothing formal or overwhelming. Just a chance for people to meet you properly if you are willing." "My team is still in the observation pod," Kavu said uncertainly. "They will be concerned about exposure to large groups." "Would they like to join us?" Minji asked. "We can arrange privacy if needed, or they can observe from a distance until they feel comfortable." The simplicity of her offer struck Kavu deeply. These humans were offering to accommodate alien needs without knowing anything about alien psychology or social requirements. "Rylan Nexo," Kavu spoke into his communicator. "The humans are inviting you to join a social gathering." "What is your assessment?" "Impossible by all standard protocols," Nexo replied immediately. "But these humans have already violated every assumption we had about primitive species contact procedures." "The energy readings remain stable," Rylan added. "No weapons? Signatures? No communication with outside authorities? No signs of hidden agendas? If we are going to make contact, these appear to be ideal circumstances." "Very well," Kavu decided. "Join us, but maintain emergency departure capability." Within minutes, 2 more beams of light descended from the sky, materializing Rylan and Nexo. In the plaza outside, the humans who had been setting up chairs and tables looked up with interest but no fear. Several waved in greeting. "Welcome to Earth," called an elderly man who was arranging flowers around the gathering space. "I am Doyon. I used to work in international relations before retiring. If you need help with diplomatic protocols, I am available." Rylan's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of extreme surprise among her species. "He offers diplomatic assistance to complete strangers from another world. Good diplomacy starts with good manners," Dojin replied, approaching with a gentle smile. Good manners are universal, I think. Nexo's analytical mind immediately began cataloging the social dynamics around him. Fascinating. They have organized this gathering using distributed decision-making, with no central authority figure. Yet coordination remains perfect. We talked about it, explained a young woman named Yunji who taught linguistics at a nearby university. Everyone contributed ideas about how to make visitors feel welcome. The solutions emerged naturally from group discussion. This is not how most species handle first contact, Nexo said, speaking directly to the humans for the first time. Usually there are governments, military forces, formal procedures. Those things have their place, Yunji agreed. But first contact between individuals should be about people, not institutions. Governments can talk to governments later. Hyunwoo appeared with a cart full of drinks and food prepared for both human and alien consumption. I experimented with more recipes, he announced proudly. Based on the chemical analysis Minji shared, I think these should work for your different physiologies. You prepared food for species you had never met, Rilin said wonderingly. Cooking for others is how we show care, Hyunwoo explained. I wanted you to feel cared for. Doused, the gathering evolved into something unprecedented in galactic history. Aliens and humans sat together, sharing food, stories, and ideas. Soyoung collaborated with Nexo on artistic representations of mathematical concepts that existed in both cultures. Mingi and Rilan compared atmospheric monitoring techniques and discovered surprising similarities in their scientific approaches. Your species has developed emotional intelligence alongside technical intelligence, Kavu observed to Jinwoo as they watched the interactions around them. We had to, Jinwoo replied. Technical problems are easier to solve than social problems. If we wanted to build a good society, we needed to understand hearts and minds as well as machines and systems. Most species in the galaxy develop technology first, social wisdom much later, Kavu said. Some never develop it at all. What happens? To those species, they usually destroy themselves or become so aggressive that other species avoid them. Jinwoo nodded thoughtfully. We almost did that several times in our history. War, environmental damage, social breakdown, but we learned that survival requires cooperation, not just competition. Doyon joined their conversation, carrying a small recording device. If I may ask, what were you hoping to learn from observing us? We needed to determine if humanity was ready for contact with the Galactic Collective, Kavu explained. Whether your species could handle knowledge of other civilizations without panic or aggression, and what is your conclusion? Kovu looked around at the peaceful gathering where two species were sharing food, laughter, and ideas without conflict or fear. I think humanity may be more ready than the Galactic Collective is. What do you mean? Yunji asked, her linguistic training making her sensitive to nuanced meanings. Most species in the galaxy still struggle with cooperation within their own kind, Rilan explained. Seeing humans extend trust and hospitality to completely unknown aliens suggests social development beyond anything in our databases. We are not perfect, Minji admitted. Humans still have conflicts, disagreements, and problems to solve. But you try to do better, Nexo observed. And you include others in that effort, even when those others are very different from yourselves. As evening approached, the gathering began to wind down naturally. Humans started clearing tables and chairs with the same easy cooperation they had shown all day. The aliens helped, learning human social customs through participation. This has been extraordinary, Kavu told the assembled group. But I must return to my ship and report to the Galactic Collective. They need to know what has happened here. Will you come back? Asuang asked. I have so many more questions about energy patterns and artistic techniques from other worlds. Will they allow more contact? Doyon inquired, speaking as a former diplomat. This seems like the beginning of something important. I do not know, Kavu answered honestly. What happened here today violates every protocol and assumption about first contact. The collective will need time to understand the implications. But you will recommend continued contact? Jinwoo asked. Kavu looked at the faces around him, human and alien alike. all hoping for continued friendship and exchange. I will recommend that the Galactic Collective has much to learn from humanity, and that Earth deserves a place in the larger community of worlds. As the three aliens prepared to return to their ship, Hyun-woo handed them packages of food and drink. "For the journey," he explained, "and to remember us by—" "We will remember," Roland promised. "This day has changed everything we thought we knew about first contact." Perhaps Jin-woo suggested gently, "It will change what the galaxy thinks about first contact, too." 3 days had passed since the gathering in the plaza, and Kavoo found himself staring at the completed report on his screen. Every word challenged everything the Galactic Collective believed about primitive species and first contact procedures. His recommendations would either revolutionize galactic diplomacy or end his career as a reconnaissance officer. "Report transmission ready," Roland announced from her station. "Collective Command is waiting for our findings." "Are you certain about these conclusions?" Nexo asked for the third time, recommending immediate diplomatic contact with a newly discovered species has never been done before. "Everything about this mission has never been done before," Kavoo replied. "These humans detected our surveillance, organized community responses, and conducted peaceful first contact without any official guidance. If that does not demonstrate readiness for galactic membership, nothing does." Through the observation pod's transparent floor, Kavoo could see the plaza where their lives had changed forever. Jinwoo sat on his usual bench reading, while Hyun-woo served customers at outdoor tables arranged for optimal sky viewing. The sight had become comforting rather than concerning. "Transmitting report now," Roland said. Activating the faster-than-light communication array. The data stream would reach Collective Command within hours, carrying detailed analysis of human behavior, technology assessments, and Kavoo's unprecedented recommendation. No reconnaissance team had ever suggested immediate diplomatic contact based on a 3-month observation period. Commander Nexo said quietly, "What if Command rejects our recommendations? What if they order us to maintain surveillance indefinitely, or relocate to avoid contamination?" Kavoo had been wondering the same thing. Standard procedure for detected surveillance was immediate withdrawal and extended quarantine of the observed species. But standard procedures had proven useless when dealing with humans. "Then we will follow orders," Kavoo said simply. "But we will also maintain that our assessment is correct." A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission from the surface. Roland activated the receiver, and Jinwoo's voice filled the pod. "Good morning, friends," he said warmly. "We wanted to let you know that we understand you may need to leave soon. If you do, we want you to know that you will always be welcome." "Here, how did they access our communication frequency?" Nexo asked in amazement. "I gave it to them," Roland admitted. "After everything they have shared with us, maintaining communication barriers seemed wrong." Before Kavoo could respond, another transmission arrived. This one carried the official seal of Collective Command, indicating an immediate response to their report. "Priority message from High Command," Roland announced. "Admiral Zenthra herself is responding." The image of Admiral Zenthra appeared on their main screen, her ancient features showing deep concern. As the highest-ranking officer in the Collective's Exploration Division, her decisions shaped policy for hundreds of worlds. "Commander Kavoo," she began without preliminary greetings, "your report contains claims that contradict fundamental principles of xenological contact theory. Please confirm that these findings are accurate and not the result of equipment malfunction or crew contamination." "All findings confirmed," Admiral Kavoo replied formally. "The human species demonstrates social development patterns previously unknown in galactic civilization. You claim they detected your surveillance within 1 week of arrival, correct, Admiral? Using nothing more than careful observation and natural environmental sensitivity? You further claim they organized peaceful community responses without central authority or military involvement. Also correct. Their decision-making process relies on consensus building and shared values rather than hierarchical command structures." "Admiral." Zenthra's expression grew more troubled. "Most concerning, you recommend immediate diplomatic contact despite their primitive technology level? This violates every established protocol for first contact procedures. With respect, Admiral there, social technology exceeds that of most collective member species. They may lack faster-than-light travel, but they have mastered peaceful coexistence with the unknown. A long pause followed as the Admiral reviewed data off-screen. When she returned her attention to Kavu, her expression had changed from concern to curiosity. "Commander, I am reviewing your surveillance recordings. These humans left food and drink for your team without knowing your biological requirements. They researched our probable dietary needs using atmospheric analysis and created suitable refreshments," Kavu confirmed. "And they organized privacy protection for your first face-to-face meeting. They understood instinctively that first contact should be conducted carefully and without external pressure." Another pause. "Commander, I am ordering you to remain in position. Diplomatic vessel will arrive within 10 solar cycles to conduct formal first contact protocols." Kavu felt relief flood through his system. "Understood, Admiral. Should we maintain surveillance posture?" "Negative. If these humans are as socially advanced as you claim, continuing covert observation would be insulting. Take open contact and begin preliminary cultural exchange procedures." The transmission ended, leaving the three aliens staring at each other in amazement. In galactic history, no species had ever been approved for formal contact so quickly. "We did it," Roland whispered. "They believed us. More importantly," Nexo added, "they trusted human judgment enough to accelerate standard procedures." Through their communication system, Jinwoo's voice returned. "We could not help overhearing parts of your conversation. It sounds like good news." "Very good news," Kavu replied, activating visual communication so the humans could see his genuine happiness. "The Galactic Collective is sending a diplomatic mission to begin formal relations with Earth." "When should we expect them?" asked a new voice. Doyen had joined the conversation, already thinking about proper reception protocols. 10 days in your time measurement," Kavu answered. "But they will want to meet with your government leaders, not just our local community." "We will help arrange that," Doyen promised, "though I suspect world leaders will want to learn from what we have accomplished here." Over the following days, Kovu's team worked with their human friends to prepare for the historic arrival. The small community that had welcomed 3 alien scouts now found themselves teaching diplomacy to an entire planet. Hyunwoo expanded his menu research to accommodate multiple alien species. Soyeon created artwork that would help different cultures understand each other visually. Minji compiled environmental data that would assist in establishing a permanent embassy. Yoonji began developing translation protocols for dozens of galactic languages. Most importantly, Jinwoo documented their experience from the human perspective, creating a guide for peaceful first contact that would eventually be studied throughout the galaxy. When the diplomatic vessel arrived exactly 10 days later, it found not a primitive world cowering in fear, but a confident species ready to take its place among the stars. The landing site was the plaza, where everything had begun. It's decorated with flowers and welcoming banners in multiple languages. 6 months later, Sol hosted the first Galactic Collective Embassy on Earth. The building rose from the same plaza where Kavu had first been detected, its design incorporating both human architecture and alien technology. Jinwoo served as Earth's first interspecies cultural liaison. Cafe became the unofficial meeting place for diplomats from dozens of worlds. So Young Single Quote's collaborative artwork adorned the embassy walls, showing how different species could create beauty together. Minji led the environmental monitoring team that ensured visiting aliens remained healthy in Earth's atmosphere. Doyon became Earth's ambassador to the collective, and Yanji established the galaxy's first universal translation center. The story ended where it began, with Kavu in an observation post above the plaza. But now he was no longer hidden. His new position as Earth's first alien resident advisor kept him busy helping other species learn what humans had known all along, that the best way to handle the unknown was with patience, kindness, and an open heart. On his desk sat a simple note that had appeared one morning. It's written in the careful handwriting he recognized as Jinwoo's. "Welcome to Earth. The coffee shop across the street has excellent pastries. Ask for Hyunwoo." Below it, someone had added in different handwriting, And if you need directions to anywhere in the galaxy, just ask. We are all neighbors now. Cavu smiled every time he read it, knowing that this small community had changed. Not just first contact procedures, but the entire galaxy's understanding of what it meant to be truly civilized.